So once he has this deep insight, his ascendant, which is how he projects, he gets himself, he knows he's going to have to project himself. He's got his knowledge. He runs into, as his planets rise, he goes through Pluto, Moon, Neptune, goes up to ascendant, past to Saturn. So by the time he goes to present himself, he really presents himself modestly, seriously, professionally, the Aquarius. This is what I know. This one, but he's going to try and do it academically, practically, to be respected. He's not going to just put it out in any place. He's going to put it in a place where he can get respect for doing things. So he works within the system. Now, his ascendant opposes his descendant, so his identity of what he has to do is opposite, in a way, his relationships. So what he has to do to maintain his relationship is a constant struggle there. And Neptune's involved with it, so there's a constant confusion, many temptations, many confusion, many guilts, many experiences. What do you do for money? What do you do for all your ideals? He's trying to be cautious and reserved. And everyone gives him that respect. He's going to have this cautious. He's not going to be the person that tells jokes. He's going to be more serious, more practical, more listening. He's going to listen first before he projects. And with the Saturn on the ascendant, that's even more so with the Aquarius, the strategy. But it puts the serious personality. And that is squared by Neptune. There's a serious side, but there's a confusion here. There's something's not as it seems here. There's temptations, there's complications here. There's a complex around this. There's some sorrow around this. So we have the career, he's projecting out what he did, what he projected, but we hear that whole story of how he got his knowledge, he got the teaching out, how he counseled this person and that person. We don't really hear the personal stories around his relationships, around his family, around his kids, which are the real story. And even then, he might be pulled away so much for work that he's not at home as much as he would feel he need to be. So what's security? Well, if I can't be at home, I need to get appreciation from people. So he had a secretary who would support him and reinforce him in personal ways. But he couldn't show that. He would work with that, but that would allow him someone he could trust that he would work with that also was catering to him. But the Saturn, that's the cautious, that's the listening side. That's the serious, that's putting his identity into a career, a job, a formal side. Okay, and that's going to put strong focus on the Saturn. When we look at the transits, you see Saturn's going around and look at different lights, we'll see how these things unfold. Okay, go a few minutes over, but we started a few minutes late. Okay, so his midheaven is in Scorpio. His outer status is about competing and challenging, to trust, to prove something. It's ruled by the Mars. I got to prove this. I got to do this. There's a committee meeting here. There's a meeting there. I have to maintain this job. I have to maintain this. I have to go do this. He has to do the things. And his Mars in the 11th house. Yeah, I have to do this. I have to be involved. He's going to be involved in a lot of things, but it's a demand. He demands. He wants to put things. He wants what you don't tell him what he can't do. Don't get in his way. He's going to drive to do things. And unfortunately, Freud, who was a Taurus down below, close affecting his moon, made demands on him to back up him rather than to do his own thing. And it kind of, in a way, it ended up feeding the independent Leo going his own way. This Scorpio, it's, I need to be involved. I need to prove my involvement. I'm getting involved, and nighttime's increasing, nighttime's greater. I got to be committed. I got to make this, I got to make it important to other people. I got to make my career important. Is going to be, but this, even the psychological career with Scorpio in the midheaven is great. I'm going to have to walk into problems and try and fix them. But it's competitive. There's a competitive side here, a challenging side here, having to prove things side here. So he had to prove that in coming out of Freud's stuff, he had to prove that he was established in his own, having his own PhD and having this stuff. It all went to back that up. The Mars that rules it isn't a problem, but it's square to the Saturn. It's exiles the ascendants, trines the Sun. There's some good aspects, but it squares the Saturn, opposes the Pluto. This creates direct harshness and confrontation. Can I really do it? Do I really want it? I have to do this. Oh, there's so many demands. I don't know if I want to do it. There's fears and blocks and power struggles around status and career. But even today, Jungian things are a challenge to the traditional ways of psychology or psychotherapy. Wow. It's almost like Jung was trying to became the psychologist, became established in psychology, but really his effect was to introduce the more mystical side and perhaps maybe even the gateway to spiritual development rather than just psychological behavioral analysis. Okay. And the descendant, we talked about it, but I'm just looking at it last. The descendant, other than opposing the ascendant, which is that it conjuncts the sun, sextiles the IC, trines the midheaven. It's not really got any bad aspects to it. So this is his power of relating, of being able to respond and being seen nobly and beautifully in terms of, like, he would marry someone that loved him and thought he was the best. Of course he would do that. And even as a counselor, it's a perfect counselor chart, sun in the 7th house, being able to relate to other people, being able to respond creatively and giving power to that, and power to relationships and purpose to interreactions and to the way one responds. It's going to feel very sincere. And it's it really works well to be the teacher, the leader, the counselor, the advisor. People, everyone's going to know his name and come to him. And that's it. It's not a bad thing from the sun. It's really a powerful point, powerfully positive point. But not only was the relationship, it was the marriage, it was the relationships. His strong point was relationships. His weak spot was that he didn't have just one. Okay, this is a complicated person. We all are. We all have these different layers to our nature. But it's when you apply, we're looking at the archetypes, at the structure of archetypes. It's almost like astrology is the grammar lessons. And as we put the grammar together, we make sentences and words and put this package and build up the image and build up the archetype. And then we finally get the astrological archetype. We've come close to the astrological archetype that is the DNA of the matrix of life, of his life. And as you start to see this DNA, you see this matrix there, you start to see how he lived it. You'll see the good and the bad in anything. But look what he did. Here's a person who influenced the world and changed the way people think profoundly. But still, on a personal level, he's adored. People that know him and study him, they love him. But on an academic level, he's still accepted. It's delegated to a fringe or a branch, not the mainstream. Okay, so that's it for Jung's chart. I just thought it was a good one to do, to go over. Certainly, everybody's different. We did Trump's chart, we did Carl Jung's chart. Next week we're going to do Sigmund Freud's, just to get another view on another psychologist and their interactions. So I thought it would just be deep enough and rich enough to work on. And then we go on to start with our transit level. So thank you, and I'll see you next week. Okay.